Hey, I'm John Shields. Welcome back. Today we're going over more triads. All right. Okay, so in that first triad video, we went over how triads show up on the guitar, how to map them out on the frets, how some of the open chords that you already know are truly just triads, just 3 notes. Even though you're playing all 6 strings or 5 strings, you're really just playing 3 notes. So that's what we went over there. What we didn't go over is how to actually figure out what notes go into a triad. Let's say you're starting from square one and you don't even know the shape on the guitar. So how do you know what notes are in what triad, and major versus minor, and all that jazz? So let's do it. So to begin, triads, it's a chord made up of 3 notes. Okay, we know that. We learned that last video. We just went over major and a little bit of minor. First step is knowing there are 4 main types of triads. Okay? There's major, there's minor, there's diminished, and there's augmented. Okay? We pretty much only ever deal with the first 2, major and minor, but we'll go over diminished and augmented just because they're important to know. They do have their uses, especially as we get into some jazz and stuff like that. So let's get into it. This will be easiest to explain on a keyboard just because everything's laid out so well. So we'll start there. This. Okay. There's our keyboard. Okay. Now there's 2 ways to figure out these chords and the triads and all that. The first way, it's a bit of a process. It takes a little bit longer because you need to count things out. The second process is easier, but only if you know all your major scales by memory, okay? So once you have that down, we'll go through both methods, but just so you know, the second is easier, but only if you know your major and minors, or your major scales already, okay? In regards to key signatures specifically. So, first way. We talked about this already a little bit. Triads are just thirds stacked on top of each other. Now, what am I talking about when I say thirds? What I'm talking about is intervals. The distance between one note and another is called the interval. Okay? For example, the distance between a C and a D is 2 half steps. You have to go 2 notes. 1, 2. C sharp to D. This is what we would call a major second. That's an interval. Now let's say I wanted to go to C sharp. That would be 1 half step. That would be a minor second. 2 half steps. 1 half step. Okay? So I'm talking about thirds. I'm talking about these intervals. So, just clear this up. There are 2 types of thirds. There's a major third and there's a minor third. So first, let's look at the major third. This is going to be 4 half steps. That's 4 notes. So, before we go on, start on C. You go 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So C to E is a major third. Okay? A minor third, you guessed it, 3 half steps. Okay? Just one less than the major. So if we do it, we go C. 1, 2, 3. We hit E flat. C to E flat is a minor third. Okay? So that's what you need to understand. This was just for example, so I can erase this, the major and minor seconds. Major and minor thirds. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about stacking thirds. Okay? So let's get into it. A major triad, and we're talking about chords here, not intervals or anything. We're talking about chords. A major chord, a major triad is a major third and then a minor third. Okay? So, let's put it to practice. Let's say we want to create a C major chord. We start on C. Okay, now we're going to go major third, which is 4 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our next note is E. Okay, now we go a minor third, which is 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. We get G. So I know that C major is C, E, G. And you can do that anywhere. Doesn't have to be C. Let's say we wanted to figure out what F was. F major. Same process. It would be major, third, 4 half steps. 2, 3, 4. So we have an F. 1, 2, 3, 4. We get an A. Then we do a minor. 1, 2, 3. We get C. F major, the chord, is F, A, C. Okay? So what's minor? A minor is same process, but we're going to flip the thirds. This is a minor third and then a major third. Okay? Does that make sense? We'll do C again. Just for fun, we'll do F minor as well. So C minor, we start on C. Root note's always going to be the same as whatever chord you're using. Minor third first, 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. Okay? E flat. Then we have a major third. 1, 2, 3, 4. Land on G. The only thing that changes, if you remember from the other triad video, the only thing that changes between major and minor is the middle note drops down a half step. Now we can see it out in action with the intervals, okay? Just for practice, let's do it with F. You start with a minor third, 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. That's A flat. Then a major third. 1, 2, 3, 4. C. Okay? Easy enough. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, these next two, you're not going to see a lot of until you get into some more advanced music. But it's good to know what they are. So, a diminished triad is a minor third, and then another minor third. 2 minor thirds on top of each other. Okay? So, C, D, I, M. That's how you would say diminished. Or sometimes you would see a little circle like that. That's also C diminished. So, we'll start on our root note, C. We'll go a minor third, which we already know is E flat, but let's do it anyway. 1, 2, 3. E flat. And another minor third, which is another 3. 1, 2, 3. What do we get? G flat. Okay? Let's do it with F. Start on F. Minor third. 1, 2, 3. A flat. And just by the pattern, you guys know it should be a C flat, right? 1, 2, 3. This technically is a C flat. You wouldn't write that as B. Now, that's the reasoning behind all that will come later. That's there's reasonings behind it. For now, just know that we write that as C flat. Okay? So that's a diminished triad. Last one, augmented. So we've got major minor, we've got minor major, we've got minor minor. There's only one other iteration we can go through, and that's major third and another major third. So this is another one that has 2 ways you can write this. AUG, short for augmented, or sometimes you'll see a plus sign. Okay? Those are the same. Same thing. So we'll start on C. We'll get rid of these. So we go major third, which is 4 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And another major. 1, 2, 3, 4. In this instance, this is G sharp. Okay? Now take a look at these. The C minor and the C diminished are very similar. Right? Same note, same note. The G is flatted in this one. And the C major and the C augmented are very similar. Same note, and then the G is sharped in the augmented. So, let's do F just for fun. Oops. Should be a plus. I'm going to start on an F. So, if the pattern repeats itself, it should look very similar to this. It should be A and C sharp. So let's see if it's true. We'll start on F. And we'll go 4 half steps, major third. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our A, right? And we go another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. C sharp. Which is what we got. Okay? So those are the 4 main triads. That's the roundabout way to go about finding them. Okay, now the easier way. You have to know what your major scales are. Because a lot of this, you can see, they're very similar. It's just small changes in between chords. So a lot of the times what you'll see, a major triad like this, you'll see people write 1, 3, 5. And what the heck does that mean? Okay, let's take a look. If we're talking about C, let's lay out the C major scale. Well, it's right on the keyboard, but there's no sharps or flats. Oops. C major scale. Okay, you're not messing with any half steps or anything. You just look at the C major scale and you see, well, here's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 7 individual notes within a major scale, within any scale in Western music. Anyway. And we look at the major scale, we see 1, 3, 5, C, E, G. Well, that's the same as this. Okay? There's your major scale. There's your major triad. You're just skipping notes. That's it. 1, 3, 5. That's your major scale. Now, let's say I wanted to do this with an E chord. I want to know what's in an E chord, E major. Now, this is where it's important. You need to know your scales, because an E scale, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp. There's your E major scale. So what is E major? 1, 3, 5. E, G sharp, B. E, G sharp, B. Easy. Okay? Now, when you have these memorized, you don't need to write them out and go, 1, 3, 5. I mean, you just have them. It's a lot quicker than going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So that's the important part of knowing your scales, knowing your key signatures. Okay? And to build off this, you can see the difference between these are real minimal. So a lot of the times what people write here, right over here, C major, for example, is C, E, G. 1, 3, 5. Okay? That's based off the major scale. Now to make something minor, someone could write 1, flat, 3, 5. Still based off the major scale. You take, what's the 1 of C? It's 1. What's the flat 3? Well, it's E flat. And then your 5 stays the same. So there's your C. There's your C minor. C diminished. 1, flat 3, flat 5. That's an easy way to write that. And I mean, you just go with your memorized C diminished. You have 1 is your C. Flat 3, we already know. E flat. Flat 5, we already know the 5, just flat it. G flat. And then, of course, C augmented 1, regular 3, sharp 5. Okay? Regular 1, regular 3, sharp 5. Okay? So knowing your major scale, just your major scale, that's all you need to know to rattle these off. So, long story short, when you're playing the guitar, and you're playing your G chord or your C chord or your B chord, you're only playing 3 notes at a time, unless it's something fancy like a C7 or a C add 9 or I don't know, C6 9. Just the 3 notes. Now, the cool thing about guitar is we have shapes. We can move them up and down if there are no open strings in your chord. Because this is consistent, 1, 3, 5 is a major. 1, flat 3, 5 is a minor. That's the same thing. It's not just C. It's like I showed you with G. And with F, I mean, 1, 3, 5 is major. It is major. That's what it is. 1, 3, sharp 5. That's augmented, okay? So you find a major shape on the guitar. So let's take a look at this. Here's your headstock. Strings are going up and down. Here's your frets, okay? So let's take the A shape, for example. You're going to bar here. And you're going to have 2, 3, 4. Now, if you play this on the first fret, that's a B flat major chord. Okay? This is your root right here. That's a B flat. So what you're playing here is, if you don't play this bottom string, you have a B flat, you have a F, you have another B flat, you have a D, and then you have an F. Okay? So in a B flat chord, you don't need to know the all of this right now, but this is the 1. This is the 5. This is the 1. This is the 3. And here's the 5 again. Okay? We're still just playing 1, 3, 5. Now, because we're only playing 1, 3, 5, we can move this wherever we want, and it's still going to be a major chord. All right? So let's write this out like this. 1, 5. 1, 3, 5. Those are the notes we're playing without the actual note names on it. So if we moved this, make some room here. If we moved this all the way up to the 3rd fret, if you're barring on the 3rd fret, this would be a C chord. If this was the 3rd fret right here, this is a C. This is a G. This is a C. This is an E. And this is a G. Okay? So that's the cool thing about guitar. Usually what people do is they do this backwards. You learn the shapes first. And you can, because then you can play right away. You can start playing. But then they never go back and they learn why it works. It's not just a B flat shape. It's a major shape that you can move wherever you want. That's the beauty of it. Okay? Now, this is a lot of information. Let me show it all here. I think that's enough for today. But just know all the major triads are built the same, 1, 3, 5. All the, or if you're doing it the long way, major 3rd, then a minor 3rd. All the minor triads built the same way, 1, flat 3, 5, or minor 3rd, major 3rd. We'll just recap the whole thing. We might as well. All diminished chords are built the same way. It's 1, flat 3, flat 5, minor 3rd, minor 3rd. And finally, augmented. They're all built the same. It's 1, 3, sharp 5, or major 3rd. Major 3rd. So, knowing that, if you have a major shape on the guitar, there's all kinds of them that you're not playing any open strings. You can move that wherever you want. That's the easy way to transpose to if you don't have a capo handy. That's how you do it. So that's the beauty of that. That's triads. It's a lot of info, I know, but take your time, take a look at it, and we'll be back for more next time. Anyway, thanks. Bye.